Beta Pokemon is fun Pokemon trivia that mostly every Pokemon fan likes to see. Well, what if some of these unused Pokemon actually were the final designs? I'll be taking some of these beta concepts and turning them into real Pokemon sprites you won't want to miss. A quick message from me: if you want to help and support me, please watch the video until the end and don't skip through it, because if you do, it will get recommended way less than if you watch it until the end. Thanks! Let's start off with the starter, since that's pretty much their purpose, right? I mean, starter, it makes sense. But anyways, this was a way more unique experience compared to the other beta into animated sprite videos. And that's because they were in very early design stages, like they only had black outlines and that's it. Multiple variants for what the actual design could be, but that's pretty much it. And they were pretty different to the Gen 2 and Gen 4 beta sprites. And the main reason why? Well, where do you see any sprites? They literally were just some sketches. So I could get a bit more creative, and thanks to the animated sprite aspect of it, I included some Easter eggs to the actual sprites themselves. Like, haha, got you there, just a little bit more until we actually find it. Stretching arms part is a resemblance to Treecko's T-pose. Cool, right? Now that we're done with that part, time for some more interesting stuff, like a direct comparison to the stuff I could only use for the sprite, and a comparison to the final design in the Gen 5 style, and of course the shiny. But for these guys, I did it so it resembles the actual shinies as close as possible. So how about that? Now let's change it up a little bit and go to Beta Gastrodon. Now you're probably thinking, wait, are you serious? Gastrodon is Gen 4, you... Okay, sure. Anyways, well, turns out Gastrodon was planned to be in Generation 3. And to make things a little bit more interesting, or in my case worse, there's only one single thing that I can go off of. Yeah, one single back sprite. Well, it's the same case for the Gen 1 sprites, and they are black and white there. But then again, I'm not focusing on that, and I'm focusing on this version, which still sucks, because it's, like I said, the back sprite, so I have much less to go off of, so I have pretty much no choice but to be more creative. So my idea was, as you can see, it's more whitish, because I decided to make it a more straightforward evolution of Shallows, and yeah, got a bit creative. Oh boy, I can't wait to find the Gastrodon. As you can see, I got carried away a little bit with the creative aspect. Since it only becomes ground type when evolving, I decided the concept would be that it grows a muddy shell over the Shallow's body. So there's that, but also the comparison. But speaking about the original design, how about the shiny, which I just made in the Gastrodon colors? So at least it's more unique, I guess. Anyways, let's move on. And now let's finish up the starter duo with Torchic. Hey, Mudkip isn't here. I guess he was always perfect. Huh. Well, anyways, this little guy was the simplest. He wasn't really that complicated, and even though it was still an early design and it was still just a sketch, the design was still pretty understandable what the concept was, so it was no real struggle to decide how to make it. I of course used Torchic as the base for the color palette, and some other modernish aspects of it, just like the rest of them, since I didn't, like I said, have much to work off in the sketch designs. But overall, hey, still a little cute guy. I mean, of course, you'll judge for yourself when you'll see the actual design in action, but otherwise than that, easily the simplest one out of the bunch. But that definitely doesn't make it worse. And it's pretty understandable and self-explanatory that you should leave your ranking down in the comments. Hey, wanna see something cool? Yeah, me too. Hopefully it's in the bushes. Oh, look at that little chubby chicken nugget. Oh, I want to hug him. Now that we have seen the little chicken wing in action, time to see the other stuff, like the only material I had for the design, of course the comparison to the actual final design, and the shiny, which just is a simple remake of the regular shiny, a little bit desaturated, but it still works well, don't you think? And now it's time for pretty much the most popular and well-known of the Gen 3 beta Pokemon, and I wouldn't even be surprised that it's probably the only one you know. But hey, it's the fan-dubbed Latiken. Now this was an interesting one to say the least. Now you would think that this maybe has a little bit more stuff that I could use since it's the most popular one out of the Gen 3 betas, but alas, no surprise, it's the same deal as the rest of them, just one thing, and even worse, it kinda is more obscured thanks to that blue-haired girl. Now anyways, it still was no trouble since it wasn't obscuring that much, but even though it's a little thing, little still counts for something. Hey, yeah, get the reference. Okay, anyways, back to the sprite. Yeah, it was pretty simple since I still had two final design sprites to use, which are Latias and Blaziken, so it's cool. Oh, hey, actually, there's another Paradox concept for you. Okay, so there's definitely no shot it isn't in Infinite Fusion, right? Now let's take another look at the sprite since I want to make up for the hours I spent on the sprite. I mean, fair enough, right? Anyways, also the comparisons, yep, 2 against 1, and of course the shiny, which is mostly Blaziken, but it still has hints of Latias' shiny. And now for the finisher, the guy I was teasing you with at the very start is Beta Groudon. And to be honest, just like some of the others, I had no idea this existed until doing research for the video. And if I only knew how long it would take to create the sprite and how exhausting it would be, I probably would have turned a blind eye to it existing and just have said that there's only 4 beta Pokemon, but alas, here we are, and I actually did it, which was cool and all, but the actual process, yeah, took a bit. Now, it at first glance doesn't look like it has changed much compared to the final design, but it's much more longer and kinda menacing, I would call it. Well, anyways, at least I learned some new stuff like how to handle shading on much larger scale Pokemon and boulderish designs, which was pretty cool. Yeah, no, one wrong step and I'm getting stomped by Groudon. I mean, I don't know why, but it's giving me Ben 10 vibes. Now let's move on from battles with the menace to more interesting stuff like this minuscule amount of sketches and stuff. Also, the cool comparison to the final design, which surprisingly hasn't changed that much, and the shiny, just like mostly the rest of them, is pretty much the same as the regular one. Well, that's pretty cool. And that's it for Gen 3 beta Pokemon to Gen 5 animated sprites. If you liked watching me do this, I also have videos for doing the exact same thing for Gen 2 and Gen 4 beta Pokemon, so go and check those out. If you like watching the video, of course remember to subscribe, and otherwise than that, that's it, so stay tuned.